from the lighter side of pest control. This is the Tales from the Crawlspace podcast with wait a goddamn second.
What?
Dude, are we in the wrong podcast?
Sir, isn't this the Tales from the Crawlspace studio?
No, this is the shit that goes on in our heads studio, you dipshit.
Oh.
I gave you the directions last night. I sent it to you. I sent you the Google Maps coordinates. What the hell is this? Dave, you're fired. Roll the intro.
Three, two, one. Welcome back to another episode of Shit That Goes On in Our Heads. Today we have two very special guests. We have Jack and Brad from the podcast Tales from the Crawlspace 2.0. Welcome, Jack and Brad.
Hey, thanks for having us on, ladies.
Yeah,
definitely.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
We've been really excited about being here.
Dude, I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. Also drinking, so I'm a little tipsy.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm drinking this week too. Last week was coffee and Mucinex. Today is a grapefruit radler from Perth Brewery.
It's two great tastes that taste great together.
That's right. Does it come in tartar control?
Yummy.
Nice. So are you guys ready to just jump in? I think we're going to talk a little bit about your transition into where you are today and how you got there.
Oh, we're born ready. We've been born ready.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who wants...
I wasn't born ready, but I was converted to readiness by Jack.
Among other things.
He's quite influential.
Oh my God.
Oh,
that means bad influence. That means bad influence. That's what that means.
G-Rex, you need a potty pad?
I already have one down. We're good.
She prepared. She prepared.
Good. So who wants to kick it off? Jack or Brad?
Well, I'll go ahead and start. We got here pretty much because of a Facebook group, more or less. My Facebook group that I created back in January of 2020 is called Pest Control Humor Depot, also known as PCHD, because Pest Control Humor Depot is a damn mouthful. So we started it during. It was started during COVID, and it was a way to get people together in the industry. To initially, it just started to just post memes, funny shit that that goes on in our heads, and it ended up evolving into a lot more. A few months into the group, Jack got a hold of me and said he was considering starting a podcast, and wanted to know if it could be advertised, pimped, if you will, on the depot. And I was like, absolutely not a problem. The more the merrier, and I will let Jack take it from there.
All right. Well, yeah, during COVID, as most of us pest guys we were essential workers. And so I was, one thing I have to throw this in there. One thing I loved about working during COVID was that the speed limit everywhere was like 95 miles an hour.
Yes.
Because there was nobody on the roads except for us. But I just thought what started the podcast thing was I was in the grocery store buying toilet paper, which during COVID, was tantamount to being Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom. And I got out in the car and I said, I did a little video. I set my phone on the steering wheel and I did a little video and I said, look, this is Jack. Jack bought one pack of toilet paper. You have to realize that COVID is not a lower GI problem. It's an upper respiratory problem. Now, if you're coughing so much that you shit yourself, you might need a couple extra rolls, but stop grabbing 50 rolls at a fucking time. And when I posted that, a friend of mine goes, dude, you've got a voice to be on the radio or something. I'm like, nah, man, how am I going to get on the radio? He goes, dude, I have a podcast or something. So that started swimming around in my head. And I'm like, there's two things I know about. One's being a smart ass and the other one's pest control. So, and I don't want to do one of those techie things. I want to actually do something funny. And I started searching for funny pest control podcasts, and there were none at all. And there's still none except for us. And it just started from there. And I got all excited, like after the first 3 episodes. I was like, dude, I got like 27 listens in 1 week. Oh my God. I was so excited. And the first couple episodes were train wrecks, absolute train wrecks. Oh, they were horrible. I might have, it sounded like I was shouting through a moose's ass.
And I want to stop Jack there and put a preface in there that I was not involved in the podcast at the time it was a train wreck.
No, the first show I had 3. It was 3 of us, me, Nick, and Dave. And then Dave just disappeared after the first one. I guess he thought it was just as horrible as it actually sounded. And Nick and I continued the show for about a year. And then Nick got out of the business and my life took a turn for the shit. And so I kind of put it on hiatus. Now, we did have Brad in for 1 episode called the Inebriated Termite episode. And where we sat there and got like shit-faced drunk and talked about termites. And then I was thinking about after, and we were talking about this last night on our show. Our episode last night is called the Feel Good episode, about all the cool stuff that we've done. And I had lost, this is the only bummer thing I'm going to say. I lost both my parents last year, my dad in January, my mom in October. And Brad approached me about being my co-host. And I'm like, that might be something to keep me going because I'm kind of not feeling like doing anything. I had all the shades pulled down. I was like a hermit in my house. And we picked it up late last October. And because I couldn't get the logins to some of my old stuff, we had to start all over. I was able to download my old episodes and re-upload them to a new host. But that's why it's Tales from the Crawl Space 2.0, because I had to be able to differentiate when I search online for the show. And it was me, Brad, and miraculously, Nick got back in the business the same day that we decided to start the podcast back up. And Nick was with us for 5 or 6 of the episodes, and then his life took him in a different direction, which is cool. And I completely understand. I mean, we do this for fun. It's not like a paying gig. So if you can't make it, you can't make it. That's fine. Mm-hmm. And it's been me and Brad ever since, and we've been having a ball doing it. It's just been awesome.
Yeah,
it really has.
Nice. Well, I mean, I love it. It's a very funny, hilarious show, so I encourage everybody to give it a listen. I also like your merch. I just noticed the shirt. I'm like, hey, we need to talk to you after about our merch situation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I actually had to switch merchandise providers because the first person that was doing it was my former brother-in-law, but his work life has him so busy that things were taking forever to get shipped, and I couldn't have that. So I went to, I think it's MerchLink.
Okay.
And they give you a shop link that you can add to your website. Oh. So when you click shop on our website, it goes straight to the MerchLink page, and they'll actually develop samples or basic ideas. And if you like the way it is, you can just roll with it, but you have complete creative control over it too. So
nice.
There we go.
We got these. We got the Pest Control Humor Depot shirts with the big oval, like the oval stickers you put on your car. We got those. These have the big, huge emblem on the back of them. I think we got toboggan caps and hoodies and everything.
Dang!
So, yeah,
wow.
We had hat. Yeah, there's hats. I on the group, I've got a magnet that I sell to the members. So it's kind of like an identifier out in the wild. Yeah, they could put it on their car, they could put it on their sprayer, they could put it on their bedbug heater, whatever. So when they see that, they know that's a cheese bag right there. And, we keep and we don't keep any of the money we make off of this. I mean, as far as the magnets go, it's pretty much a zero profit thing. It's like I'm selling them at cost, when you factor in shipping and whatnot, but every penny that we make off of any of the merchandise goes to a charity fund. And
nice.
So Jack and I, from time to time on the Facebook group, we get people that are having needs. They've got a GoFundMe or whatnot. The money that Jack and I chip in to those GoFundMe campaigns, part of it, it's not all of it because the profits we make off of this stuff are shit, but we'll chip in our own money, and that money goes to those charities.
Aww,
oh yeah,
I love that. That's really sweet.
And Brad and I were talking about starting a foundation of sorts to help guys that are getting into the pest control business, guys and gals, rather, should I say, because there's increasingly more ladies in the business. I think it's awesome. We actually had a women in pest control episode a couple months ago, and we got a big one coming up this next week called Cheese Bag Angels, kind of like Charlie's Angels. And we've got 3 very active and very awesome ladies on the Pest Control Humor Depot who are going to be our guests. And my son made a custom intro for it with the Charlie's Angels theme and everything. So,
That's cool.
but yeah, and we're thinking about starting a foundation of sorts where it'll help these people who are serious about the business pay to take their certified entomologist certificates or degrees. Like a fund to help them going through the process, like the Purdue University test to get their entomology certificate or degree. So
That's awesome.
Right. And it's not a cheap. I mean, it's definitely not medical school money, but it's still a good outlay out of the wallet when you want to study for that. So Jack and I are looking to have some sort of vetting process. And if somebody needs some help or somebody wants some help, all they got to do is ask us to help cover some of the expenses. And once this fund gets enough money in it, that's where it's going.
That's wonderful. So can I ask, how did you guys get into pest control?
Oh, Brad, you've been doing it longer than I have, so that's you first.
Okay. Well, long story short is I was making a minimum wage job I was working a minimum wage job and my daughter needed diapers. And the mother-in-law would come through every weekend when she came to visit with a pack of diapers, but that's only about a 2-day supply. Things were piling high with difficulty at the house. So, and the job I had, I didn't really care for. It was just something to pay the bills. But once the kid came around, I wasn't paying it anymore. Well, my sister-in-law, husband's brother was a manager at a major pest control company, and they needed a position. It's nothing I even considered going into as a career. But the money was desired, was attractive. So I got it. I applied, I got the job. I quit smoking pot long enough to pass the drug test, and boom, I was in. And I have not been out of it for 32 years. And it's one of those things that it was almost like an arranged marriage. It's like one that actually works out because I was put into it, and then I fell in love with it later. And now I can't think of anything else I'd want to do and as a career.
Well, that's cool.
Not even astronaut. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. So, but
You're an ass.
I'm an ass. Yeah.
Halfway there.
Well, 28 years ago now, I was working as a construction inspector. I was in charge of quality control for the terminal expansions for both National Airport and Dulles Airport right around the DC area. But the problem is that there was a big influx of people from other countries, particularly people from India with engineering degrees that did not translate to the qualifications to be an engineer in the United States. So they were getting into this geotechnical engineering construction inspection job, and the market took a dump and people weren't getting paid what they were worth. So I started looking for more work because I wasn't able to pay the bills. And I saw an ad in the paper, and it didn't say what the job was. It just said, must have construction experience. Please send in your resume. So I did. And I got a call from the company I started out with. We'll call them Schmerlich, as we like to we like to butcher the names so we don't get sued.
Yeah, we're like the mafia. No names. Don't write anything down.
And Schmerlich called, and they were looking to hire a termite guy. Now, when you do termite work, you have to understand how a house is built, the type of foundation, everything. You have to realize, you have to understand the way a house is built and the way it's put together to properly treat. And they started asking me questions like, what type of slab is this? What type of foundation is this? I'm just rattling them off. And, they're like, oh, you'd be great. So they hired me, and they put me with a 13-year experienced guy we called Tommy Termite. And that guy was a nut job. I loved working with him. And I learned from him, and I took to it like a frog does to water. And I loved it. It was great. It was never the same job. You didn't have anybody over your shoulder, so it didn't get boring. And it paid a lot better than the job I was doing. And so that's how I got into it. Just found an ad in the paper back when people actually used to look at newspapers.
I was thinking that when you said I found the ad in the paper, I'm like, I remember that. You'd circle the ad, you'd call the number.
I'm old. Don't rub it in. I know I'm old. Don't rub it in.
Yeah, pest control is one of those industries that's kind of unique. Is how much money you want to make depends on how much you were willing to do. And it's not, the industry is not unionized. We don't have set wages or anything. I mean, we do have market comps and things like that. But, most of the companies that are out there are ones where a person that goes out and actually does the service, the technician, he can sell stuff. He could, if he's willing to, to talk to the customers, if they need something different, add on. I mean, there's people making really good money in pest control.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you guys aren't afraid when you see bugs in your house then?
Oh no. I'm pissed. I'm not afraid. I'm just like, how in the hell did you get in here?
But I'll tell you, you'll find out with most tradesmen though. But one of the first jobs I had a long time ago was installing carpet, and you'll find that most tradesmen, they do a fantastic job in other people's homes, pristine looking carpets and stuff. But when they get home, their carpets look like shit because they're tired of doing it because they've been doing it all day. So it's I guess it's like dating a hooker. You're not going to get laid because she's been doing it all day.
Right.
So but for the pests running around the house, I'm like, you're brave,
He picked the wrong fucking house.
But we don't really stress on it so much because we've been doing it all day,
Right. I mean, we're the customers. We're going to be, we're going to locate the source. We're going to run this comprehensive report, and then we're going to do all this. We're going to do that. No, we're fucking smashing it, spraying where he was at, and then I'm done. I'm back to watching
The
Beverly
red
Hillbillies
lights blinking,
reruns.
the alarm is sounding. You're running around the corners.
I smash it, and I go back to watching Beverly Hills reruns.
Now. We don't get scared much about anything like that. No, I had a story a while back. We had an episode called Tales. Was it Tales in the Crawl Space? I had a house that I was at in West Virginia. I was in the crawl space searching around, and I felt something hit the back of my neck and start skittering down my back. It turns out it was a brown recluse with all of her babies on her back.
No. I can't get far enough away from this mic right now.
This is the PTSD story of the century here.
And all of her babies came off of her back and went down the back of my shirt. Now, I don't know if it is with baby spiders like it is with baby snakes, where they can't control how much venom they release. I don't know. But that's what I was thinking. I was worst case scenario in the whole fucking thing. So I slowly crawled out while trying not to soil myself. And I got outside of the crawl space, and it was winter. There was snow on the ground. It was snowing. So I'm out there stripping down in the snow very slowly and laid back in the snow where all these spiders were. And it's so cold they couldn't move. So, and the homeowner comes around looking at me, and I'm like half naked in the snow. And they're like, "What are you doing?" And I got up and I pointed down. I said, "Brown recluse." But yeah, that's seeing a brown recluse doesn't scare me. Seeing a black widow didn't scare me. But when you have a shitload of them down the back of your shirt, you get a little concerned.
I think about that every time I go into a fucking crawl space. Thanks, Jack.
So that reminds me of Dirty Skittle. So last weekend, she sent me a picture of like her tomato plants and everything, right? And this girl is deathly afraid of spiders.
Sure am.
So on the text that she sends me a picture, and it's a banana spider, and she's like, "Time to burn down my garden." I'm like, "Just get a hose and spray it off, man."
Let them stay. What they do for your garden, they are doing pest control for your garden.
That's what.
They'll deal with the tomato hornworms. They'll deal with the aphids. Everything. They will keep your garden straight up, and they're gorgeous. And they put that zigzag in their web.
Yeah, they do.
So things don't fly through the web. It's to keep other predators out of the web.
And it's doing a good job because this tomato plant is thriving.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
leave that spider there. That's my favorite, and the technical name is a Bruner's Argio.
Okay.
Dirty
well,
Skittles, you and I are kindred spirits. 'Cause my tomato plants right now are. I love growing tomato plants. I'm in Indiana. I'm a Hoosier. Growing tomatoes and playing euchre is what we do. And I'll tell you what, my tomatoes this year are phenomenal. And
Yes.
we've had a nice wet August and a decently wet July. So I've had some good yields. I've appreciated it if more of them would hurry up and fucking ripen. But I've already put up 25 jars of salsa
good for
and
you.
12 jars of pasta sauce.
And
Nice.
it's fantastic. I had some of last year's batch. It's fucking amazing.
Oh, I might have to
Yep.
hit you up for recipes because I'm like, I think we're like 25 tomatoes in on this one plant, and I'm like, and I normally just eat them because I love tomatoes, but I'm gonna make sauce. So that's my.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you can't make sauce right away and they're ripe, you don't let them sit there and let the fruit flies eat them up on you. Freeze them.
Yeah.
You can freeze them.
Oh, okay.
And it's
Nice.
if you're gonna make sauce with them, I mean, it's definitely, you don't want to make BLT out of a thawed out frozen tomato.
Ew, no.
that would just be way too disgusting
Yummy.
and messy. But
Right.
that's how my beautiful bride and I do it. Is pop them in the freezer. When we get enough of a batch to make a batch, they come out with the fresh. Boom.
Wonderful. So, okay, brown recluse spiders, ew, and all of their
Yes.
babies. What is the craziest shit you've seen?
Bug wise or otherwise, because that's a very broad question with a lot of answers.
Yeah, please don't ask him about his personal life. We don't have that kind of
So, I
time.
guess I'll narrow it down while you've been in that industry doing a job or work.
Still,
Really?
I've done. We have an episode called the Morbid episode where I walked into an apartment and there was a lady who had mother who had passed away there at the apartment. And she was a born again Christian, and she thought that she prayed over her mother's body enough that God would bring her back to life. So when I got in the apartment, the daughter was gone, and I could smell something weird, but it didn't smell like rotting flesh that bad. And I was like, checked the kitchen, I checked the spare bedroom, I checked the bathroom, nothing. I got back to the main bedroom, and I kind of pushed the door open, and I see a body in the bed. I'm like, oh, sorry. I stepped back out, and nobody answered me. And I'm like, what the hell? And I kind of look in again and say, hello, and no movement. And with the light that was coming in the window, the shades were down and everything, but it was just enough light to see this gaunt face in the bed. And there was a dead lady in the bed that the daughter was like moisturizing her face and stuff. So
In the silence of the lambs is fucking happening in that house.
Pretty much.
Holy shit! So what did you do? Did you have to like call the police and stuff?
well, I went to the office across the street and told them, and they called the police. But the rest of my day was shot. I had to sit there and answer questions and everything. And
Whoa.
but it was obvious that lady had been dead quite a while, and I wasn't in any suspect or nothing. But they had to pick my brain for what I saw and everything. And the lady apparently got arrested for abuse of a corpse
Yeah, I would imagine.
afterward.
She
So
was like,
that's
what about all that moisturizer though? That's a commercial. What was the one?
For
I was
Avon.
kidding. Yeah.
Really?
Are you missing your mom? Try a new Avon.
Avon. Oh man,
it's
for the
fucked
face that
up.
lasts forever.
Oh shit. Jesus.
But that's one of the craziest. I mean, I've had strippers offer to pay me other than cash for doing a job.
Wow. At a strip
I've
club?
had at their apartment.
Oh,
At their apartment.
okay.
I had a fireman
G-Rex
think
is done.
T-Rex is dying.
I had a fireman who thought I was attractive that decided to hold my ass as I was going up the attic steps.
Just giving you support is all he was
So,
doing.
well,
That's right.
what I
Fall
told him,
protection.
I said, look, here's the deal. If I fall while you're touching me, I'm going to sue you. I said, but if I fall on my own, that's workers' comp. So do yourself a favor and don't.
Oh, good for you.
So
Set the
that's-
boundaries.
Win-win.
Love that.
The bigger man.
I mean, it's a cute butt. I got to admit that. But damn, keep your hands off of it.
It has its charms, Jack.
It does. It really does.
What about you, Brad?
Oh, me. I would say the most bizarre thing that sticks with me the longest is when I was working at my first company. I was doing a house. No one was there. We had been there before. Mice were the issue. I'm walking into the door, and it's like a split level, and they had steps that are going up to the second level right there to the right of the door. And I heard a squeaking noise, and I couldn't figure out, I was like, what's that? I thought it might have been the floor as I was walking across it, because, I'm fat, I can make cast iron squeak. And, but I kept hearing it. And so, I always start in the kitchen. Instead, I had to go upstairs to investigate about almost all the way up to the steps. There was a glue trap. It's about the size of, 3 playing cards end to end. A mouse was caught on it. This mouse was dead-ish. But this mouse was giving birth.
Oh.
And the mouse was these baby mice were coming out of the mother and going right into the glue.
Oh.
And that was something that I mean, this was 20 some years ago, and sometimes I still dream about that. Another one was working on 9/11.
Oh shit.
That doesn't have anything gross or sticky or icky or anything like that, but it was just the bizarre atmosphere of everything. Was something I'll never forget. I mean, everything was it was Indianapolis is it was like the 12th largest city in the country. It was a ghost town, and businesses were very reluctant to let us in. The ethnic establishments were hanging American flags in their front window, thinking that there'd be a retribution attack or something. One of the major hospitals in the city was on my route for that day. I had to go through so much clearance. You think they were like refining plutonium in there, and the skies were just silent, and that just put a whole new dimension of bizarre on things that I was not accustomed to at the time, because we live in America. It's noisy, it's busy, it's free, and you can go into places, you could do things and stuff like that. All that ended on 9/11, and that was probably the most surreal few days that because it was like 4 days before I even saw a plane fly overhead my house. And it was quiet, and everybody was nice, polite, but scared. So it was, and I would say that was probably the creepiest thing. That and the mice.
Wow. Yeah, I remember. I think everybody has like a "where were you at" during 9/11 story.
Oh yeah.
And I was senior year of college, and I was volunteering at a veterans nursing home. And we were in the kitchen getting breakfast ready, and we hear it on the radio, and everybody stops because it's confusing, like what's going on. And we all went into like the main room that they had, and there was a TV, and we were watching the news live as the second plane hit, and it was just surrounded by veterans. And I just remember being like goosebumps covered. Like, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, just to see this older generation looking at the TV like, fuck it, give us our guns. Like, we have to go protect the country. And I'm like, holy shit. It was crazy.
Yeah. That's what happened that morning. After all that happened, we were still sent out to work. One of the technicians come back in. He was just in his truck getting ready to go off. He turned on the radio and heard about. And this was when the first plane hit the towers. He came in and told us about it, and we were all like, "Oh, it was a small craft. It was an accident. Somebody got off course, slammed into the building. There's going to be some mess on the ground. Everything's cool." But it's like, we want to see this, so we had one of those little AV nerd carts, with the big. That was before flat screens and everything. We roll it into the service manager's office. About 5 or 6 of us and the service manager and the branch manager were in there watching it, and we're looking at it. And as we got our eyes glued to the set, and then that second plane hits, and we were just all like,
"What the fuck?" Yeah.
We just kind of looked at each other with our mouths open, and I was like, "We're being attacked," and they're like, "Holy shit!" Well, the manager was like, "Well, all right, let's get to work." I was like, "Fuck you, let's get to work."
Yeah.
I was like, I want to go home, make sure my house is going to be okay. You know, my
Yeah.
daughter's at school. I want to know what the fuck's going on. But no, let's get to work.
Yeah, and I
Well-
guess that's something with essential workers, right? Like, we don't think about that stuff. Like, I
Right.
would have
No.
never thought about it. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, I know
And-
for me, it was the day that was the day of my grandfather's funeral, and I had to go from Baltimore down to Alexandria, Virginia, which you go right past DC and across Potomac River. And as you go down 295, you pass right by the National Security Agency, and that bridge was lined with people with machine guns.
Oh, shit.
When we got to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge crossing the Potomac from Maryland to Virginia, the smoke from the Pentagon was following the river and was blowing directly across the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. So I ended up driving through that smoke from the Pentagon
Wow.
to get to the funeral, and like no cars on the road, no planes in the sky. It didn't even seem like the birds were chirping. I
Yeah,
always said that
silence.
the world stopped the day I buried my grandfather, and it
Wow.
literally did stop. It came to a screeching halt. So
That's wild.
Yeah, for me, I was working, and they had the TVs on, and they sent us all home. We both had family members that were traveling that day. Couldn't get a hold of anybody. You know, it was horrifying.
oh yeah.
Man. I don't
We
know
all
how-
changed that day.
I know,
We did.
right? Yeah. I'll never forget it. I keep thinking like one day my son will come home and say, Mom, tell me about 9/11. And then I'll be like, oh, let me tell you all about it, you know? But that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So y'all started in the pest control industry, passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
Saw some crazy shit. Almost
Oh,
got
yeah.
attacked by spiders.
Yeah, you know how y'all feel about spiders? Well, that's how I feel about snakes. All right.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh,
That's what I thought
same
you were
here.
gonna say.
Same here. Yeah.
When you said something was slithering down your back, I was like, oh God, please tell me it's not a snake. But then you said something worse. Spider and all of its babies.
Oh,
Over 30 years in the business, I will not mess with a snake.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
I own a snake.
Yes, you do.
You can keep that snake.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And this isn't some sort of innuendo. He actually owns a reptile type snake.
An
But I
actual
mean-
snake.
In this business, I mean, I'm sure Brad will agree. We've been attacked by all kinds of stuff. I mean, from hornets to I've had roaches cloud up on the ceiling above me and drop off onto me when there's so many.
Wow.
Customers.
Oh yeah, customers attack you. I had a gigantic DC rat jump out of a baiter and try to attack me, and I had to stomp on his head.
Sheesh.
Oh yeah, we get attacked by all kinds of stuff, and that's just kind of part of the job. I mean, we don't even really think about it. It's like, oh yeah, that happened. Whatever.
Yep.
You
So,
know.
but for like that kind of stuff, like how do you guys take care of your mental health? Because doesn't it like fuck with your head a little bit?
Oh, you can't be in this business without being a few croutons short of a salad.
That's right. Absolutely. But you know what? We all have our coping mechanisms. A lot of us have side things, hobbies, whatnot, to kind of get our minds off of it. I look at like Pest Control Humor Depot on Facebook. Everybody is showing us what they do to unwind, be it some sort of artistic hobby. One of our members, Candace, is an incredibly talented artist.
Oh yeah.
She does some amazing some artwork. She's got some of rock idols like Robert Plant, David Gilmour from Pink Floyd, and things like that, where she's done paintings of them, and they are so damn good. And then others, sometimes on the weekends we just get a picture of a table with a glass of whiskey, a cigar, a joint, whatever, sitting there. One thing about pest control technicians and employees that I've noticed is that we do know how to unwind. It may not be the healthiest way to do it as in some instances, but we get the job done.
Yeah, so you're not doing like yoga and having an ice cold water.
I would like to say that our jobs really aren't the things that send us into therapy. We found a way around it, because at the end of the day, it's a job. I mean, work sucks. Nobody wants, people say they want to work, they want something to do, but if you didn't actually have to work and to make the money, you'd find something to do. But you're not good at this. You're not going to be in here for a long time if you don't love it anyway. So it makes that easier to cope. But the other stuff is just that everyday kind of shit that everybody else on the planet deals with, and we have our ways to deal with it.
Yeah.
Do you think that your podcast helps you guys too?
Immensely.
It's your therapy, right?
Immensely.
Oh,
yes.
for both of us, for sure, it's our therapy, and we think that's kind of why the podcast is really taking hold in the pest control community, is because I think for them it's therapy as well. I mean, I know Brad and I both have gotten messages recently, people going, man, your show is what helps me get through the day. Matter of fact, last night we read on the Feel Good show, we read a submission from one of our listeners that so we're talking about getting really burnt out on pest control and burnt out working so hard, but between the depot and all the awesome cheese bags on the depot and on the podcast, she was like, that really helps me get through, because I know that I'm not alone in this. I know that crap's going to happen, and I love reading those things. So I know, I'm sure Brad gets tons of those messages. I know I get a bunch of them.
And at the risk of sounding conceited, Jack and I do feed off of that. It really helps. When we know that what we're doing makes a difference in somebody else's life, it gives us good gibblies. It makes us feel
oh,
good.
For sure.
And it makes us feel like and it makes us want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And what I love about you guys is, like, with Dirty Skittles tonight, you guys are authentic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You like speak your mind. You don't sugarcoat it. We get the same messages. For us, when we get our reviews, we both get a little teary. So you try not to read them too often. But, when we have people that are fangirling over us just for doing this, I mean, it makes us both feel good, right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Like our mission is really coming to fruition. So.
Yeah.
No, you guys have been a juggernaut of positivity. Listening to your show, you guys I can only imagine what kind of security and safety people feel when they listen to your show about the different aspects of life. Like when you had your one guest who was dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and my condolences, by the way. But listen to that episode, it just. I would have been a basket case, and she just kept powering through and getting on with life. And that's the most amazing. I've never heard so much strength come from one person in my life. And I thought that was absolutely amazing.
Right. That is, and it's almost like a little bit of that with every episode that we record. I never expected to be inspired each time. And Bookie was for sure like life-changing. And everybody after that. It's just... you get attached.
My other favorite episode was when a sandwich is not a sandwich. her story, yes, her stories working in the kitchen, and then I think they said that like they moved where the kitchen was, and they completely threw her off. But that was awesome. I love that one because there was a lot of undertones about a bigger picture in life, but it was just her working in the kitchen and stuff. But I tell you, kitchen culture is a big cross section of life if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a great episode. I love that one.
Yeah, that's still one of my favorites because, like I had mentioned before, I'm like, we started this episode and I thought we were just going to exchange funny and like rude and like dirty kitchen stories, but it was so much more than that. It was.
Oh yeah,
it
really
was awesome. I loved it. So, are you both still in the industry? Are you retired? Where are you at in life now?
I'm still in the industry. In fact, I just changed companies in June. I was a branch manager at the company before, and I've been in management and pest control for a little over 20 years. I got I got to the point where I didn't want to be the manager anymore. I didn't want to eat the shit that I was having to eat. I didn't want to eat up any more stomach lining than I already have. I didn't want to be responsible for anybody but myself. And a couple of other things that happened at this particular company that just really made me sour.
Oh,
because I knew it was the right thing to do for the company, but the wrong thing to do for humanity.
Yeah.
And it just got to the point where I couldn't take that anymore. My daughter is grown and out of the house. My house is paid off. My wife is semi-retired. And I got to the point where I figured I had one more adventure left in me before I retired. So a good buddy of mine who I used to work with at, we'll call it the Big Green Tea, is we worked there together. He decided to open his own business. I decided to stay there and grapple my way up the corporate ladder. I got so far, decided I didn't want it anymore. He and I were talking. He was talking about some staffing issues he had, and I said, "Hey, I know somebody." I said, "He's fat, he's old, and he hates working Saturdays." He goes, "Oh, really? Well, send him to me." I said, "I just did. It's me." He goes, "Well, if you're serious about that, let's get together and talk." So that Sunday, we got together over a steak and some bourbon and hammered out a deal. And I'm working for him now, and I could not be happier. I'm once again doing what I fell in love with in the industry in the first place, which was killing bugs and taking care of people.
Aww.
And I couldn't be happier. My phone is so much quieter now. My inbox is so much lighter now, and my heart is so much. I enjoy having my heart in my chest once again.
Aww. I love that. What about you, Jack?
Well, I'm retired now, not because I wanted to, but I'm enjoying it. But a couple of years ago, I kind of followed the path that Brad did, and I got out of management and I became a commercial tech, just doing like restaurant kitchens and stuff like that. And I loved that so much more. I only had to worry about myself. It was great. On the way home from work one day, I was in my little Mitsubishi Mirage 4-door and a Ford F550. I didn't know they made 550s.
You do now.
Yeah, yeah. with a landscape trailer with 2 zero-turn mowers on the back of it, so we had that added momentum. Rear-ended me doing 45 and put the trunk in the back seat of the car.
Wow.
I had to have surgery on my shoulder, and they had to remove one of my upper bicep tendons on my right arm. Now, before I had the MRI and I knew that was destroyed, I tried going back to work, and I'd get 15 minutes into the day and try to move a proofer around in a commercial kitchen, and my arm felt like somebody set it on fire.
Wow.
I mean, I'd stand there in tears. It hurt so bad. Turned out that one tendon was completely destroyed, and my rotator cuff was torn almost in half.
Whoa.
So I ended up having to have surgery on my arm for that, and I can't do what I used to be able to do anymore. So I was able to retire with the settlement I got from that accident, because I mean, I was laid up. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had rotator cuff surgery before, but you have to sleep sitting up for 3 months.
Oh, man.
That's difficult. And on top of that, you got to do it while you're taking pain meds if you can handle the pain meds, and that's bad sleep anyways. And then you're trying to do it sitting up. So it was miserable. The recovery from shoulder surgery, everything that happens above your waist goes through the muscles that attach to your shoulder. So if you're pushing a fart out, if you reach with the other arm for something, you feel it. It's miserable. So I haven't been able to. I can't do what I used to. So I'm retired now, and I'm enjoying my retirement. It allows me to be the pimp for the podcast, for all our social media and stuff. And yeah, I've got other little things that keep me busy. I'm building a house on top of a mountain.
Beautiful.
And I'm spending a lot more time with my son. So my son lives near Hershey. I'm down in Virginia. Me and his mom are best friends. We're absolute best friends. And I guess having a child with special needs, you learn to put aside the petty stuff and worry about what's important. And me and her are fantastic friends. And I spent a lot of time with him. And and I took Brad up the mountain when he came out to hang out with me. Took him up to see the house and the view from the top of the Great North Mountain. In the Appalachian Mountain Range.
Ladies, it was beautiful. I mean, I have never seen such a perfect place for a home. especially when you're an introvert like Jack.
Oh, yeah.
because he is isolated. But no, it's his house. His house overlooks everything, and almost in the state, and it is just an incredible place. I could never get my wife to go up there because of the drive. It's you're driving up a mountain, and but if I was in Jack's shoes, I couldn't have picked a better place to build a home either. And I was really happy that I got a chance to see it. I hope to see it once it's all done, and he's in there and it's got it all farted up. Oh, by the way, Jack, I haven't had to push a fart out in years. You get to be my age and they just kind of fall out.
Yeah, every time I bend over to tie my shoes, all that. But if I sneeze, I fart, all that stuff.
You get the title of crop duster when you get to be about 57.
Oh no, I do that intentionally. I'll go to Walmart and lay a trail right down the aisle and then stand at the end of the aisle and watch. I got to say, this is my favorite story of all time. I was in a mall, the Springfield Mall, and I was waiting for my friend who was down the little side hallway in the bathroom, and I had a nice, hot, quiet one, and I let it go, and I kind of backed out of it. Now, this mother had her child on a leash walking, and they walked through it, and the mother grabbed the child and put his ass to her nose, thinking he shit himself. And I tried not to give away that it was me, so I'm standing there gritting my teeth with tears rolling out of my eyes, laughing, trying to keep my laugh inside. But I was so proud of that. That was one of the few moments that I'll look back on my deathbed and go, yeah.
Bravo, Jack.
Yeah. Well done.
Oh, yeah. It's gotta be. The last episode you ladies had up was about women and breaking barriers and stuff.
Yeah.
And now you got one on men breaking wind. you bookended it perfectly.
We give because we love. We give because we love.
It's okay to be not okay. Just make sure you're talking to someone.